Chris Cuomo welcomed his best friend, Cenk Uygur, my former boss, onto his program to announce the new salvation maneuver Cenk is doing to save America, thanks to America, by pushing for populist candidates. He's already got Ro Khanna, or as Dr. Phil called him, Roy Kahana, signed on board.
Roy Kahana.
I'm sad. I'm sad for the country.
Ro Khanna is actually featured in my film, Tell the Truth, Cenk, when he went on CNN to talk to Brianna Keeler to defend Cenk. He wasn't defending the sexism, but he was defending, it was in the middle of the maelstrom that had developed around Bernie Sanders' 2020 candidacy, but 2019 is when this happened, in December of 2019, in mid-December. And Ro Khanna, being a loyal soldier to the cause, he was also one of the co-chairs of Bernie's campaign, along with Nina Turner and Ben Cohen from Ben and Jerry's Ice Cream. He goes on CNN to defend Cenk and to make a case for Cenk having apologized.
Cenk Uygur has made some unconscionable comments.
They control the entire Democratic Party in California.
My understanding is that he has apologized for them.
They obviously have a backroom deal.
He has said that they were clearly inappropriate.
Cenk's for Medicare for All, and Christie isn't.
Many of them were disgusting.
And Pelosi isn't, and Feinstein isn't.
And he should apologize for them, and he has.
And none of them are for Green New Deal, and Cenk is.
Cenk is running on a progressive platform and has made it clear that he made mistakes and made horrendous comments that he shouldn't have.
I'm arguably the favorite now.
Well, there are a lot of progressives who have supported Cenk Uygur.
Bernie Sanders is one of the front runners that could potentially be the next president. It seems like that would generate a lot of positive press. I mean, imagine if...
That's a good one.
The important thing is for him to unequivocally, clearly condemn any of those past statements and say that they were wrong and that he has moved on and understood why they were wrong.
He is running for the congressional seat recently vacated by Katie Hill.
Is this not the race that you want to have, making it very clear where the lines are drawn?
It 100% is.
Skeletal, master of the universe.
As the day wore on, pressure mounted as more of Cenk's past statements came to light, thanks to a steady drip of clips that had been circulating on Twitter since Cenk announced. Apologizing might not be enough. Unable to withstand the onslaught, Cenk takes action.
So it's a huge part, not a huge part, but it's a pretty substantial sequence in the film. Tell the Truth, Cenk.com if you would like to see more. And so Ro Khanna now is also joined up with Cenk on his initiative to, I don't know what they're calling it precisely, so my words here, but it's he's calling it a Polymarket takeover, a populist takeover of the Democratic Party. Cenk has settled onto the concept of populism because the concept of progressivism has so far seemed to have used, it's been drained of its nutrients, it seems. He doesn't, I don't know, not sure he would even describe himself that way anymore. Maybe some of his positions he could describe as that. But he's been through his own evolution in terms of his messaging around it, because it was always only ever marketing to Cenk. He's never actually, you know, I think he's lived a pretty cloistered life overall. It's not fair to say entirely, but generally, you know, grew up super rich, went to Wharton Business School, same school as Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and then to Columbia Law School, which is an evil institution, and became a media guy. Yeah, so anyway, Ro Khanna's in the film. The other person he's gotten to sign up that's been announced is Richard Ojeda, who is a really strong union supporter. And I'll be very curious if he ever learns about Cenk's union busting. That will be an interesting thing. I don't know how he'll find out. Maybe somebody from his district will tell him, or maybe I'll try to get in touch with him, or maybe somebody, you know, internet will just sort of, it'll make its way to his desk. But I think Richard Ojeda means what he says when he defends unions. I was looking at his Twitter. It's filled with very strong defense in support of unions, which is cool. Anyway, I'm getting too rambly with this intro. Chris Cuomo, brother of Andrew Cuomo. I think Chris Cuomo was booted from CNN over a scandal involving... Did my throat just burp? That was weird. Scandal involving him engineering positive coverage of his brother, I believe, is where that shook out. And yeah, So I think there's some other stuff, but since I'm not super confident, I shouldn't say. Anyway, he introduces Cenk, but this whole clip is funny because it's just Geraldo was there for some reason, and Geraldo is just being a dick to Cenk about it. So let's just watch it.
I would argue that President Trump is making it easy for the Democrats to show that they have better ideas, but that party seems determined to get it wrong. They got Bernie and AOC running around the country selling that government is the solution to everything, socialistic ideas. They have their lawmakers running to El Salvador when they didn't go to East Palestine.
That's amazing. Is that really? Wait, what the hell? That government's the answer to everything? Yes, that's exactly right, Chris Cuomo. Americans struggling under the oppression and burden of everything being incredibly expensive, hoping their elected representatives do something about it, is characterized as government being the solution. Yeah, we should just let the billionaires run wild. Maybe they need a little bit more freedom over our lives, Chris. The socialists, shut the fuck up, dude. Sorry, that set me off.
I mean, WTF. The California governor, Gavin Newsom, he said, and I'm sure he thinks that this is a campaign of candor for him. I don't know what the Democratic Party is. Here's what he's getting wrong. You're supposed to know, my brother. You're supposed to know. If you want to be a leader, you can't just go on some listening tour. Leaders lead. They have a vision. They do know. So I guess he's saying he's out. So then who's in? I'll tell you who wants to be in. Co-founder of the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur. Just an hour ago, he launched what he's calling a rebellion movement. I'd say that's redundant. I think he just needs rebellion. He is certain that he knows...
Wait, rebellion and movement are redundant?
Movement. I'd say that's redundant. Just an hour ago, he launched what he's calling a rebellion movement. I'd say that's redundant. I think he just needs rebellion. He is certain that he knows how to put Democrats back on the path to victory.
Yes, I'm going to go have a bowel rebellion. You know what I mean?
He is here by the ever reasonable, always optimistic Geraldo Rivera. It's good to have you both. Geraldo, you listen to Cenk's pitch, and then we'll pick at him about it. Cenk, first of all, thank you for doing something.
Thank you, Cenk, for doing something. Thank you for doing union busting at your work. Almost like a small group of people. Let me pull on my beard that fell out, that I can no longer grow facial hair, except in small little patches. It's still a nightmare. I still have to shave the entire fucking thing, even though it's a nightmare. Let me pull on it. I don't have a Geraldo style mustache to twirl. Have you ever seen an untwirled mustache? That's what that guy's got. We had to rebel at TYT. We were facing disrespectful and exploitative working conditions. I've detailed them in great and exhausting and annoying detail on my Substack, balledontheinside.substack.com, as well as it will be in even more detail in the film, at the final version of it, tellthetruthcenk.com. Check it out. There's all kinds. You can watch 84 minutes of the movie. It's already up. Or large parts of it are up. You'll see how high quality the editing is. Please contribute. Huge project. We had to form a rebellion. We did it in secret because as longtime workers of TYT, we knew our boss would retaliate. And we were right, meaning we predicted something that we knew would happen, and it was affirmed that based on the retaliation-filled union busting that Cenk did when the union came forward. It included a lie about our integrity and our intelligence, and that erased the story of what really happened. The lie was that outsiders started the TYT union to harm Cenk's run for Congress, as if somehow he was required to say no to a union. He could have said yes, which would have helped his run for Congress. And it probably would have alleviated him of a lot of strain and would have unburdened me. And I wouldn't have made this fucking film, stupid ass. Why did you do that? Of all the things, Jesus. So anyway, Cenk loves to co-opt the language of rebellion. And let's just get into a little bit more. I'll probably say more about that. But calling this Rebellion PAC, and Rebellion PAC, you can find all the records on fec.gov. Takes a little getting used to the interface, but it's actually pretty useful. You can look up all the donations. Various entities have donated their receipts and their disbursements. There's search filters. Super interesting stuff. I'm pretty confident this is true. If I'm wrong, I will correct it, but I'm like 99%. Cenk for Congress PAC was started when he became a politician in 2019. We had been union organizing for quite a while before then, although TOT audience has never been told that. But so it's called Cenk for Congress, and then he lost his congressional campaign on March 3rd, 2020, of 2020, special election to replace Christy Hill. His primary opponent was the establishment favorite, Christy Smith. He got there was 2 elections, 5.9%, 6.6%. But so he got smoked. He got 4th place. Didn't do anything. It was a carpetbagger. It was an impromptu campaign. Pretty intense. It's all, much of this is in the film. And the name of the pack, I was losing track of it. So they renamed Cenk for Congress to Rebellion PAC. Pretty ironic that he did union busting, which is about one of the most establishment things you can do. TYT uses anti-worker management side law firms, also detailed in the film. And so like they are the establishment. They're corporate. Their number 2 guy is a health insurance executive. His previous career was as a health insurance executive. Can you get more like top-down, hyper-powered control, cosmic violence against people than a health insurance executive? That's the guy who runs TYT. He was the acting CEO of TYT during Cenk's campaign because he was required by ethics obligations to detach his business decisions from his political decisions. Those 2 operations can't be overlapping, even though he still was a guest on shows that he owned, hosted by people he could fire. And they waited until the day after he lost his election to fire someone from the union organizing group. So, little dubious. I suppose we're supposed to believe that was a coincidence. An actual rebellion broke out at his company. He quashed it. His super PAC named Cenk for Congress then goes and changes its name to Rebellion PAC. They were actually, sorry, I'm just going on here, but they were making a film about his congressional campaign called Road to Revolution. If you go to TYT's video section, or maybe it's on like Rebel HQ, or could be in one of their other channels, but it's search for Road to Revolution. And you'll see it's like yellow font with like, and they're decent little like documentary style vignette packages. One's about Michael Schur, one's about Nina Turner. There's different candidates that they had done. New media companies, TYT's been around a long time, so they have different sort of things that they've tried. I'm not knocking them for that, but they were filming during his whole campaign, what I think they were intending to be his ascendancy to Congress, which would have been really interesting. In fact, Francesca Fiorentini on the Olay and Chill podcast, Olay and Friends, but she has like 3 channels, Olay and Chill is this one, said that Cenk told her that he imagined that he will get into Congress and that he'll be the one that delivers the articles of impeachment about Donald Trump. This would have been in 2020 back then. So
Cenk is fairly delusional, and I just want to like make sure everyone kind of knows that. And just another story that I have, but one of the times that he was running for Congress, second time he ran for Congress, whatever the time he ran for Congress when the impeachment was going on.
Oh, Christy Smith, yeah.
So he was like literally said to me with a straight face, he goes, can you imagine? I win and they ask me to present the articles of impeachment to Donald Trump. You know, that's gonna just like, can you like that? And I was just like, wow, yeah, like a child, like I'm saying, like, dude really thought he was not only gonna win the election, but in his like, you gotta go into Congress and you gotta just crush everybody and make no friends and go in there and you gotta fight and I hate AOC and how dare you straight deals and how dare you, like, you know, his whole attitude about how you're supposed to be in Congress is basically make no friends, get nothing done. Yeah, and they were gonna be like,
but at least he was passionate about that. Like, I don't even sense that level of energy or excitement.
No, but if it's but no, because make sure you know that when he's talking about anyone on the left, yes, he has so much passion and anger.
Just nutty stuff. So yeah, I would love to see that movie come forward though. Road to Revolution. Clearly they shelved it. He lost. It still might have been an interesting movie to lose a campaign. There's nothing necessarily shameful about losing a congressional race like that. It's fine. But the fact that it turned into him doing union busting would have been a really funny and poignant third act reveal or third act surprise to have a insurgent outside progressive candidate do star in a movie called Road to Revolution, where it becomes him destroying and attempting to crush a union at his workplace started by workers who were trying to slightly improve their working conditions so they could keep contributing their time, talent, and labor to making him rich. This is how I podcast. Sorry if you are watching this video and you're like, play the video. I know, I'm trying. I can't help it. I have to talk.
What's the rebellion? Why do you think you can take over the party?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. So we need a rebellion because obviously this Democratic Party isn't working. It's at 26%. They lost to Donald Trump. They lost the popular vote, all 7 swing states. So what do they need? I believe that they need economic populism. Donald Trump pretended to be a populist, but as you see now, he isn't. He's passing $5.5 trillion in tax cuts. Today he said, oh, no, of course we're not going to raise taxes on the rich. So it's the same old Republican Party giving away trillions of dollars to the rich and to corporations. But this country wants populism. And the correct answer, in my opinion, is left-wing populism. So what does that mean? It just means bring the Democratic Party back to its roots. What we're going with on rebellionpack.com is the 6 most popular proposals the Democrats have, which, by the way, a lot of independents agree with, a lot of even Republicans agree with. So we're not just planning to run in blue districts as we did when I started Just Democrats. We're planning to run in purple districts and red districts. So higher wages, paid family.
What are these 6? Here he goes. Higher wages, paid family leave. Put a pin in that one. Asterisk it up.
Family leave. Make sure that we got lower drug prices by negotiating at Medicare, lower housing prices, money out of politics, anti-war.
I'm for all those. Lower drug prices, yes. Anti-war, yes. Lower housing costs, yes. I mean, who's not for all that shit? I mean, you know, I'm not even knocking him on that one, but those are broad strokes. Yes, he does have to be succinct when you're in these TV hits. He can't just like ramble too much.
This is a super popular plank, and now we're joined by Ro Khanna, who has joined the rebellion, and he's the first sitting congressman to do that. And on top of that, we've got Richard Ojeda running in North Carolina.
Sorry, I got to back up. I'm getting in the way here. Richard Ojeda.
And on top of that, we've got Richard Ojeda running in North Carolina 9th district. That's an R+10, but we're going to win that district. We're being very bold here. And when we win those purple and red districts, we're going to make a case to the American people. We're leading. We have a plan. We already displaced Trump's power in Congress in 2026. Now trust us to run the party in 2028, and we'll bring it back to what it used to be, representing the average man.
So
average
my question for
man, the Democratic Party used to represent the average man, Cenk claims. I'm not going to go down the whole history of the Democratic Party. So let's look at Rebellion Pack website. There it is, looking good. The Rebellion is here. You can express donate. Don't you do any slow donations, okay? Express donate $5,000. Let's go to the contact section. Have they updated it? Okay, the two, oh, well, no, at the bottom. I know it's not on screen because it's cut off, but they did change this, so I looked at it yesterday. So Brianna Wu is a commentator, does a podcast, ran for Congress too, and so she has been paid and is in charge and is the executive director of Rebellion Pack, some kind of, I'm not sure where her and Cenk first, you know, crossed streams and hooked up as a unit or something, but they seem to work together over the years on these things. So this site actually is different than it was yesterday because there's some drama going on with Brianna Wu, who is a rabid, raging Zionist. But as I mouse over these, I know you can't see it, but email, it says here at the bottom, it goes to Brianna at rebellionpack.com. Same with this one for media help, as well as Kara, who is Kara Eastman at Rebellion Pack. So she's still in the contact section, although they took away, it was a big paragraph that had it listed first. And we'll just jump over to this Twitter. Is this it? Yeah. So Vanguard tweeted this, and a lot of people have been pointing this out. Vanguard writes, the executive director of Rebellion Pack, Brianna Wu, is one of the most vile Zionists on this platform. If you contribute to this, you are funding her salary. And she's in Israel currently doing a propaganda tour with the IDF. She, something I pointed out is that there's a tweet from her. She is cheering on the kidnapping of Mahmoud Khalil, the guy who was kidnapped by armed masked goons who not deported, imprisoned him in Louisiana, like 1,000 miles away, all for what they haven't charged him with a single crime except insisting that his advocacy for Palestinian rights and to free Palestine, because he's a graduate student or some sort of academic, but he does activism, is a threat to national security or some bullshit like that. Kidnapping people for speech. And the person in charge of Rebellion Pack, Brianna Wu, supports that, as is clear right here. There's a screenshot, but you can go to her Twitter and look at it. I'm in Israel this week, and she's quote tweeting here Mahmoud Kwame Mamdani, the guy running for mayor of New York, who is really cool, doing great, getting a ton of attention, running a really exciting campaign. Steep climb to defeat Andrew Cuomo. Unfortunately, name recognition and the machine in New York City or New York State overall is horrible. For many years, the Democratic Party there is just like conservative, evil thing. They have all kinds of, it just goes on and on and on. But Zoran is a real socialist. He has an honest chance. He's a very exciting guy. He's a good politician. He's so good at what he does. I'm sure people on the left probably have issues with some of the stuff, as is would always be the case, and hopefully always is the case. I'm for that kind of stuff, but because he deserves scrutiny, anybody seeking power should get it. But this guy needs support. This guy is actually doing a real rebellion. He has a real chance to put a socialist in charge of New York City, or a mayor, to replace Eric Adams. He's doing an amazing job. I would like to see the other candidates coalesce around him, actually, and don't write in. They do ranked choice voting in New York, which we should be doing all over the place, but do not rank Cuomo or Eric Adams. Horrible, horrible guys. But she's calling him out. So she's attacking an actual rebellion by saying and mischaracterizing what Mahmoud Khalil did, which is he advocated to stop a genocide of his people. And now he's imprisoned by fascist government goons for that. And this is the person in charge of Rebellion PAC. So she writes, I'm in Israel this week. Do you think I'm organizing divisive protests to divide the country? Of course not. I am a guest and am acting like it. So she's saying he's a guest. He's not a citizen. He doesn't get to say anything. No, free speech applies to citizens, to people visiting too. The whole freedom thing we're supposed to be so proud of in this country. She writes, he led a group that violently took over a college campus. Lie. We have every right to enforce our national security. So she's promoting and supporting and cheering on imprisoning people for free speech. Quote tweeting Zoran saying Mahmoud should be home in New York City with his wife and newborn son. Instead, he's in a prison cell 1,000 miles away. Not because he has been accused of any crime. And I don't have it here. It's a screenshot. And of course, her second tweet to this thread is, of course, some goddamn communist doesn't understand any of that because they don't live in reality. Like, what? Like, did someone feed Joseph McCarthy after midnight? Where the fuck does that come from? This is crazy. So that's a person Cenk has running Rebellion PAC. Now, I do think that actually she has since withdrawn, even though the email is still there as of at least this taping Thursday afternoon. Let me just pull that up real quickly on the... Okay, so 5:01 a.m., that's this morning, April 24th. This whole Cenk's Rebellion PAC thing, she's been getting paid. You can look it up on the FEC website, fec.gov, and you can see all the payments she's received over the years, thousands and thousands of dollars. So she's known to have a Porsche collection too, which is, I think you can get older Porsches for decent price. I don't know, whatever. But after all this firestorm that erupted, thanks to Cenk making this announcement and people paying attention to this, and Brianna Wu's been on a lot of people's radar for a long time anyway, often gets kind of called out for a lot of horrible takes and stuff. Writes 5:01 a.m. Quick announcement: with my ongoing vocal issues and multiple surgeries this summer, I am taking a step back as ED of Rebellion PAC and going on health leave. So pulling back. Now, this isn't the same as getting fired. This isn't the same as like being let go or quitting, going on a health leave. Hopefully, Cenk's kind enough to keep her on board. She probably needs health insurance and stuff, whatever else, what other benefits that might flow out of that. Maybe she needs to start a union. No, I don't know what kind of relationship that employment is exactly. Nor am I trying to pretend like I do. I do know about the TYT stuff where the union I had to help start. But since we're on this here, somebody underneath one of Cenk's tweets saying, bringing the Democratic Party back to its roots, serve the voters, not the donors, and pass popular bills that help the average American. I consider myself something of an average American, which is why I felt like I deserved health care and paid days off for working full-time at the Young Turks, which is why me and other people there started a union. As I wrote underneath the link here, Cenk tried to crush a rebellion at his own company. One started to address exploitative working conditions, though he told his audience outsiders started the union to harm his run for Congress. His union busting is well documented, yet he has publicly denied being a union buster. And these are those headlines that I often share. Check out the website if you'd like to see the film and maybe support. Here's the Here's the government caught them doing union busting because Cenk violated Section 7 of the NLRA. And this hung on TYT's wall for 60 days. This is in the film. And yet he still will tell people he's not a union buster. But going back to that, somebody said, Cenk, we're tired of both sides being so willing to fight Israel's wars. No one is getting behind anything associated with Brianna Wu. Remember, she's all for the slaughter of all those Palestinians, right? Cenk writes, and this is kind of his addressing this situation. I imagine he might be forced to say something more about it later, so this is probably not the final word on it. 6:16 a.m. Remember, Brianna Wu posted that she's taking a health leave at 5:01 a.m. Eastern. So these, they're on the east. I don't know where Brianna Wu is actually, to be honest. But Cenk is currently on the East Coast, so this would be 9:15 in the morning. It's giving me my West Coast time stamp. That's why it says 6:16. Anyway, not important. He writes, if you think I'm going to be too soft on Israel, as if that's what people are suggesting because of his support for Brianna Wu, you haven't been paying attention. But I'm not canceling anyone over their opinions, especially on this issue. You wouldn't want to cancel someone who's for killing all those babies, Cenk, gleefully supporting a genocide, trusting the IDF, trusting Netanyahu, people that he calls terrorists. You can't trust them. Therefore, their information should be suspect. And anybody who does trust them should at least be fact-checked, maybe not platformed. Or it may perhaps talked to in order to then refute, which is what he would say he does with Ben Glebe, who's another like rabid Zionist that is all about, slaughtering these people and, making excuses and an IDF propagandist. Especially on this issue, where our side has been canceled forever. So he's fighting back against cancel culture here is basically what this middle sentence means. We agree on the populist plank. We're allowed to disagree on everything else. Okay. I mean, that's in line with the project he's going on about. Have beers with people you disagree with, even if we're disagreeing over genocide. Like what? Like, okay. So he's defending that, but she did pull back. It does probably seem to be a thing. It is very, very active, at least on this corner of the internet world. And so I don't know. It's interesting. Maybe it hasn't been very long, so maybe they'll get some new people on these Rebellion Pack email things. So I'm not saying necessarily that that's where it is. So let's go back to the video, though. I'm kind of getting a little bit afield from the video. We're 3 minutes in.
Geraldo is he needs a top dog. I'm wondering if he says it's him or has he got somebody else in mind. But what do you think, Geraldo?
Well, I think Ro Khanna, if indeed the congressman from Silicon Valley has joined this rebellion, I think that is a very impressive gesture. He's my favorite lawman. I believe that he has a tremendous future. And he seems like a pragmatic progressive, not a crazy person. I also think that you gave maybe short shrift to the establishment Democrats. I think either Gavin Newsom or Josh Shapiro could beat Trump if the election were held right now. I think that Trump's definitely tanked a lot of his support, along with the stock.
Well, especially if Dick Cheney gets involved. Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney will get them involved.
Stock market, and the one thing you can't.
I'm going to back up 5 seconds.
Tanked a lot of his support, along with the stock market, and the one thing you can't mess with is people's financial security, particularly because so many of the activists or most reliable voters are older folks who are counting on a 401k or IRA or whatever it is to see them through. So I don't think, and I also think that the rebellion space is kind of taken up now by Bernie Sanders and AOC getting, energized crowds in the tens of thousands. All due respect, Cenk, I'm a fan of yours. I don't expect that you'd be getting much more than, in the hundreds, maybe the low thousands. I don't see you, steaming them up. Maybe a lot's changed since I've heard you speak to crowds, but.
He just craps on it about the Bernie Sanders crowd sizes and Cenk's speaking to crowds.
It just, I don't know. I think Trump is beatable. He's beatable on brass taxes.
He's
issues.
beatable.
He screwed up
Geraldo.
this tariff thing terribly.
He's screwing it up. We'll see what he does. He's beatable because he can't run. So, Cenk, the central theory, though, is
Trump just put out merch that says Trump 2028. He's going to try to run, and it's going to be.
How do you displace AOC and Bernie?
So there's no need to displace AOC and Bernie. I don't have any problem with what they're doing. I think they're doing a great job with the rallies. We might, you guys and I might disagree on some of that, but this has absolutely nothing to do with me. I'm part of the people who founded this organization, and I'm on the board of it. Cara Eastman, another great progressive Democrat, is the executive director right now. Brianna Wu's on the board with me. So this is a giant organization, and we've got one other candidate coming out on May Day. He's another excellent popular.
Yeah, May Day is internationally celebrated as a important holiday for workers and workers' rights. In America, that day is suppressed because I think it's, and forgive me, I don't have the super detailed about it. I'm going to embarrass myself with that, but it's a strike action, I believe, that ended up with a lot of violence from the state and from the business side against workers. I think it was in Chicago, and it's been suppressed in America, replaced with Labor Day, which is later in the year. I think it's May 1st. But it is kind of annoying that they're going to be doing, because it's about a rebellion. It's about a union action. And the fact that he's positioning, I'm going to have to, that we're last week of April here. So, but the fact that he's like kind of positioning his announcement of a candidate for May Day, which is to take advantage of the movement, because it is getting a little bit more attention nowadays. Socialists, labor activists, people like myself. Again, I need to bone up on it. I just betrayed my ignorance. I'm sorry. I'm embarrassed. But it's offensive that a union buster who fought a union that workers started in secret to try to get better working conditions, especially for me, I was the core person in this case, in the second attempt at the union, no benefits, no health care. Very classic class struggle, very classic class war stuff happened in the TYT union story. That's like the bigger themes I want to explore with the film. But this is just co-opting rebellion and language. I was saying earlier in the podcast that they had a documentary called Road to Revolution. Cenk has a channel called Rebel HQ. He always likes to use this sort of language of being an upstart and outsider fighting to get into the system. And in a sense, him as a progressive up in this ruling class sort of battle does kind of make sense to position himself as an outsider. The Democratic anti-progressive machine was marshaled against him. It had a lot during his congressional campaign. I don't think they were really too worried about him during the Biden stuff, his presidential campaign. But it's still incredibly odious and deceptive and classic capitalist co-optation of sincere efforts to improve people's lives for average workers, when he is a union buster who lied about the workers, smeared the workers as part of the union busting by claiming that they were manipulated by his political foes into unionizing. Total bullshit. So the May Day thing set me off a little bit.
Populist. So this is not vis-a-vis on May Day. He's another excellent populist. So this is not vis-a-vis Bernie or AOC at all. But it's also not guys, we're going for economic populism. So I'm planting our flag here, and I'm saying if you believe we should go with our most popular policies, and you believe we should go with economic populism, and you think that should be our focus, then come to rebellionpact.com. We're accepting candidates, we're accepting volunteers, and obviously we'll take donations as well. But Ro Khanna is a super strong voice, and I love what Geraldo said about him. And he's so reasonable, he's so pragmatic. And he puts a great face to progressivism and shows people, hey, look, he calls it economic patriotism. So I think he's...
As Zach on the Vanguard has pointed out, Ro Khanna is invested in Palantir, which is Peter Thiel's surveillance technology and information hoarding, data harvesting company. So, these guys have their fingers in everything. I do think Ro Khanna is better than, most other candidates. I'd love to get his interest in the film, or maybe his support. He's in the damn movie a bunch. Eventually, I don't know if the stink of his union busting pal Cenk Uygur will ever cause him to address it, but you'd think progressive politicians would want to address this stuff. Anyway.
He's one of the really bright lights in our party, and I'm thrilled that he's with us. One of the other things we're going to do, guys, is unlike the establishment Democrats, we're going to be all over media. We're not shy about media. I'm not. None of the other co-founders are. Certainly Ro Khanna.
Except Cenk's afraid to go on the Sam Cedar program. He's even said it.
I just don't have to go on his stupid show and agree with his stupid ideas.
But you just, again, stupid. Again, these are words that you reserve
Okay,
Why do you?
Brandy, if I called you a Nazi and I said you're a right winger and you're secretly taking money from Pelosi and Charlie Kirk, then hey, and you said hey, and you got angry with me, wouldn't that be a rational reaction?
I think there's been a conflation
would the rational reaction be, oh, I love Cenk. I love that he called me a Nazi. I can't wait to work with him. No, he's a freaking grifter. That's all he's ever done.
I don't want to go on a stupid show to talk about his stupid ideas.
Wait, you're getting that. You're talking mechanics where you don't yet have a philosophy. It seems to me you put
we do have a philosophy.
Ahead of the horse here. Well, I heard you, but you sounded an awful lot like a lot of Democrats I've heard over the years. With all due respect, a lot of liberal Democrats. You want to feed the hungry. You want a minimum wage and etc. What about DEI? What about the fact that race plays such a noxious role? What about the fact that this is really a country?
Such a Fox News pivot. What about DEI? What about these words that mess people, that scrambled my viewers' brains?
Divided, not so much class. I know we like to make it, as colorblind as possible, but there's race is the core of a lot of the distrust between groups. I think that what you need is someone popular.
White supremacy is the core, dipshit. Class is massively part of it. Obviously, it's all interconnected.
As well as populist. You need someone with magnetism, with the charisma, who can compete against probably J.D. Vance, I would expect, or Don Jr. maybe.
I think he's saying, is he using them as examples of magnetism? I think he means they're going to run instead of Trump. J.D. Vance says that's a decent guess. If Trump doesn't, let's.
I think that the Republicans are square. Trump is one in a trillion. He's the only movie star they've had since Ronald Reagan, the only one they're likely to have going forward.
Star of Home Alone 2 and a few Saturday Night Live tapings and a show that was essentially a religious experience, The Apprentice, which went through, 14 seasons? I think people underestimate the influence that had. Celebrities, which is America's royalty, bowing down and supplicating to a rich, powerful businessman. It was all a show. It was all fake. There's all sorts of story. He bankrupted casinos. He's a horrible business person. All kinds of ways, it's terrible. But playing this cartoon businessman villain, inhabiting the imagination of people. But The Apprentice really did cement Trump's proficiency in business somehow, because you had people like Adam Carolla and Pauly Shore hoping that they don't get fired for trying to sell cologne in Times Square or some stupid bullshit reality show nonsense. Americans are very susceptible to that kind of conditioning. I think that we underestimate how much effect that The Apprentice had. Great point, Hank. Thanks, Hank.
But I don't see where you squeeze in. I think when you're getting a new product in a market, I like that. You go to the store.
I love that he just starts lecturing them about how to do a product introduction to the market. Because Cenk fancies himself a fancy big shot business guy, and he is. He's a horrible businessman. I mean, the union busting itself, obviously, I talk about that a lot, but yeah.
Go to the Target, wherever it is. Where's my space in the shelf? I'm not sure where the rebellious Democrat space in the shelf.
What kind of ketchup are you, Cenk?
Yeah. So
what a pro. He took it and he ran with it. What kind of relish are you? The bright relish, or are you kind of the faded, the regular looking pickle color relish? How do they make it so bright? How does it get so green? Isn't that a Chicago hot dog?
Some of those are good questions, Geraldo. So first of all, on culture wars, this group isn't doing culture wars. We're focusing on economic issues.
Except when you bring up a contributor on Jillian Michaels' show, like we did with Francesca, that was a culture war. That was you doing it. Throwing somebody that way at the time was still working for you under the bus.
So we're not interested in having those debates that are wedge issues that drive us apart. And we talk to the other side. We're willing to talk to everybody. I took a lot of heat for going on right-wing podcasts, independent podcasts, and I'm totally in favor of that. We lost the popular vote. Good. We need to regain the popular vote. And you do that by reaching out to independents. At this point, Donald Trump is intensely unpopular. Last poll that came out is he's at 40% approval, 59% disapproval. You know why? because a lot of independents voted for him and they got screwed. And we're giving a real option here now. You come, well, this is not the same old Democratic Party. We're not doing culture wars. We're not doing the establishment nonsense where they never actually pass the bills. Hold us accountable. We are going to pass these bills that America loves.
Hold him accountable. Join me and tellthetruthjenk.com. Links to the fundraiser and other ways to donate are in the description. And we're trying to hold Cenk accountable for the union busting and the lies. He wants you to. I'm not the one. I am. I do want you to as well. He wants to see powerful people held accountable. That's a lot of what this project is about.
You can have this line. Less about woke, more about who's broke. Cenk Uygur will be watching.
Yeah, what a genius. Wow. Wow, it's like Leonardo da Vinci, but with words.
Good luck with it. And Geraldo, always a pleasure. Thank you for the...
Don't be a Shlomo, go with the Cuomo.
...analysis. All right, to be continued. Thank you.
Did a great job there, Geraldo.